They dumped 12 tons of orange peels into the forest, and many years later, the result astonished the whole world. In the small yet wondrous land of Costa Rica, there is an incredible story about love for nature and the revival of the green forest. Two ecologists, Daniel Janssen and Winnie Hallwalks, spent many years researching and bonding with the rich ecosystem here. Although Costa Rica occupies only a tiny part of the world map, it is home to up to 6% of the planet's total plant and animal species. It is a natural treasure they were determined to preserve. Daniel and Winnie are not only colleagues but also a married couple, having been together since their student days at Princeton University, graduating in 1976. Even though they later worked at the University of Pennsylvania, their hearts never left the dense forests of Costa Rica. They became researchers and advisors at the Guanacaste Conservation Area, a place witnessing the sad transformations of nature. Previously, many areas in Costa Rica were once lush tropical forests, but were later converted into vast pastures for cattle ranching. Over time, those pastures gradually became arid and lost their vitality. As forest lovers, Daniel and Winnie were always troubled by a question: could these damaged lands be revived or not? And so the great mission of their lives began. With all their passion, they focused on finding ways to restore the threatened tropical forest ecosystem. These forests are not only green lawns, but also the home of countless plant and animal species found nowhere else in the world. Once the forests disappear, those creatures will also forever leave the earth. In 1995, an unexpected event opened a new direction. Del Oro, a major orange juice producer, built a factory right near the conservation area. Many people worried that the factory's presence would cause pollution and environmental destruction. But Daniel and Winnie saw a special opportunity. The issue was that during orange juice production, the factory only used the inner juice, while the peels and pulp were discarded, generating massive waste daily. Dealing with these orange peels was a difficult problem. Taking them to a landfill was too costly. Burning them would cause air pollution, and letting them rot would attract insects and create foul odors. It was at this moment that Daniel and Winnie proposed a bold idea. Instead of wasting them, why not utilize the orange peels to help the forest recover? They proposed an unprecedented plan to Del Oro: dump all the orange peels into the conservation area, in exchange for the company ceding some land for nature conservation work. An idea that sounded strange, but with years of forest research, they understood that the soil in the conservation area had been severely depleted due to cattle grazing. And if orange peels could truly improve the soil, this could be the key to reviving the dead forests. Would this idea succeed, and what surprising truth unfolded afterward? The ecologists discovered something very interesting. Orange peels, when rotting, can turn into soil, much like decomposed leaves blending into the forest ground. But more importantly, orange peels contain many valuable nutrients like nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus, elements essential for plant growth. Nitrogen is like food for plants. Without nitrogen, plants cannot sprout new leaves or maintain lush green color. Potassium plays an equally important role, helping stems become sturdy, standing firm against wind and rain. Much like humans need calcium for strong bones. Phosphorus focuses on nourishing roots, helping roots penetrate deep into the soil, absorbing more water. The deeper the roots, the better the plant's chance to thrive. Especially during the dry season, when orange peels decompose, these nutrients seep into the soil. Then, rainwater washes them deeper, turning them into valuable nutrients for plants to absorb. Previously, this land was very poor in nutrients, with stunted plant growth, making cultivation on sand difficult. But as the orange peels decomposed, the soil began to become looser and more fertile. Not only that, the layer of orange peels also covered the ground, blocking sunlight from reaching the leaves underneath. This type of weed absorbs all the water and nutrients, making it hard for other plants to survive. When the leaves are shaded and gradually die off, the open space will give way for new plant species to emerge. Of course, this was a risky experiment. The ecologists all understood that if done wrong, they could destroy the very forest they were trying to protect. But without change, this land would remain barren, and plants would still struggle to grow. Therefore, they decided to try a new approach, a hope for nature to revive. Naturally, they couldn't let the company dump anything they wanted. Important rules were established. Only agricultural waste like orange peels and pulp was allowed to be dumped. The crops must not be sprayed with pesticides, and the orange peels had to be cleaned with rice bran oil. This was crucial because natural rice bran oil could inhibit plants from growing near the orange peels, like a natural herbicide. But once this oil layer was removed, the orange peels no longer hindered growth and could even become a nutrient source for plants. The dumping also couldn't be arbitrary. It was only permitted in areas that had previously been grazing pastures. Del Oro agreed to these rules and was excited to dispose of its waste completely free of charge, while also contributing to environmental protection. According to the plan, the company would transport orange peels to the reserve on a very large scale. Each year, 1,000 trucks would carry a total of 12,000 tons of orange peels, and this process would last for many years. Cumulatively, this amount reached 250,000 tons of orange peels. To visualize, that amount of orange peels could fill a massive football stadium. The experiment officially began in 1998, with trucks successively dumping tons of orange peels in a designated area. Initially, the scene here was somewhat chaotic. Orange peels piled up everywhere, the air thick with the scent of citrus. Some passers-by had to cover their noses, and some even remarked that this place was once a large garbage dump in a nature reserve. But the ecologists weren't worried, because they understood that nature needs time to do its work. They carefully marked the dumping areas with yellow signs, while also taking photos and recording the condition of the land. After a while, everything seemed to be progressing well. The orange peels began to decompose. The citrus scent gradually faded, and small seedlings had started to appear sporadically. The experiment seemed to be on the right track, but then unexpected trouble arose. Another fruit juice company felt aggrieved by this project, because they had to spend a huge amount of money to dispose of their waste. While Del Oro was allowed to dump orange peels for free, they didn't hesitate and immediately took action. They launched a major campaign against the project in 1998. Images of orange peel piles as high as mountains appeared in newspapers and on TV screens, along with warnings about the rotting waste. People worried that insects breeding in the orange peel piles would spread to nearby farms. The rumors went even further. The foul smell from decomposing orange peels could make people feel nauseous or even sick. The campaign quickly sparked a strong wave of opposition, with people starting to write letters to newspaper editors and express their outrage. Many farmers were concerned that the orange peel dump would attract fruit flies, affecting their crops. Even environmental organizations not involved in the project began to raise questions, although there was no evidence confirming that the orange peels were actually harmful. Public opinion grew increasingly anxious. Many people even started to develop a wariness for fruit in general. The case was brought to court, where lawyers presented three key arguments. First, dumping waste in a national park is illegal, even if it's just orange peels. Second, the agreement between Duro Company and the reserve is considered unfair to other businesses. Third, if this project is approved, it could set a dangerous precedent, encouraging other companies to also dump waste in national reserves. But ecologists did not stand idly by. They brought scientists in to prove that orange peels are not only harmless, they can also help forests grow. Even a reputable environmental organization, the Rainforest Alliance, publicly supported this project. They cited previous studies showing that fruit waste can help restore depleted soil. For its part, Duro Company claimed to have complied with all regulations of the reserve. The orange peels were dumped in an area degraded by livestock grazing, entirely organic and chemical-free. The lawsuit dragged on for months, even reaching the Supreme Court, by which time about 12,000 tons of orange peels had been dumped, equivalent to the weight of 2,000 elephants. The dumping area was as large as 3 soccer fields, and eventually, the Costa Rican Supreme Court ruled that the project must stop, even while acknowledging that orange peels could benefit the environment. But the court worried it might set a dangerous precedent, allowing other companies to exploit it for indiscriminate dumping in reserves. This ruling was a heavy blow to the project's supporters. All activities had to cease immediately. The area where orange peels were dumped was abandoned. No one was allowed to touch it, and over time, the incident faded into oblivion. The former orange peel dump was now so densely overgrown with vegetation that the original site was barely recognizable. The story of the orange peel dump gradually became a legend in ecological circles. Some considered it a disaster, believing it caused many problems for forest development, while others firmly believed the orange peel dump had created a miracle, turning a barren land into a lush green forest. 16 years passed, the world changed greatly, and climate change became a top concern. Now scientists are seeking ways to regenerate forests, remove CO2 from the atmosphere, a new journey to save nature. The story of those orange peels from years ago might be a hint for the future. In 2014, a group of researchers from Princeton University heard about the earlier orange peel experiment. They were curious whether dumping fruit waste could truly help regenerate a forest. Led by young scientist Timothy Chua, the group decided to travel to Costa Rica to investigate. However, upon arriving in this land, they encountered an unexpected difficulty. The site of the old experiment seemed to have vanished. Old maps and GPS coordinates were of little help as the landscape had completely changed after 16 years. The team searched for days, traversing dense forests, cross-referencing old data, but still found no trace of the rotting orange peel dump they expected. Until one day, while weaving through thick vegetation, a team member suddenly spotted something yellow in the distance. They moved closer, crossing tangled vines and twisted branches. Upon arrival, they realized it was an old sign, almost swallowed by the trees. This was the marker used by earlier scientists to identify the experiment site. It turned out they were standing right where they needed to be, but the sight before them was astonishing. Instead of a wasteland full of orange peels, they were in the midst of a lush, dense, and vibrant forest. The barren pasture once used for livestock grazing had transformed into a vast forest of tall trees, thick bushes, and many animal species. Not a single trace of orange peels remained. Before them was a real forest, as if nature had miraculously revived. But to prove this transformation wasn't just a random coincidence, they needed concrete data. Just looking wasn't enough. They had to find clear scientific evidence, and so their research journey officially began. First, the researchers collected soil samples from 2 different time points. In 2000, scientist Laura Stein from Beloit College took the first samples. Just a few years after the orange peels were dumped in this area, years later Jonathan Choi collected new samples from the exact same locations. When comparing the 2 sets of soil samples, the research team could clearly see the changes over time. To obtain more accurate results, the scientists established measurement plots throughout the forest. They marked straight lines 100 meters long, equivalent to the length of a soccer field. Along these lines, they measured every tree within 3 meters on either side, recording trunk size and identifying each plant species. But to understand the impact of the orange peels, they needed a control point. Therefore, the researcher went to the forest on the other side of the road, where there were no orange peels, and conducted similar measurements. The results showed an undeniable difference. The forest covered with orange peels was completely different. The soil here was more fertile, the trees grew more vigorously, the number of trees was significantly higher. And notably, these trees were also noticeably larger. The dense canopy had formed, shielding the forest from sunlight. Measurements showed that the plant count in the orange peel area was up to 176% higher than in the untreated land. The researchers even found a giant fig tree, requiring 3 people to fully embrace its trunk. Biodiversity also showed a significant difference. In the orange peel area, up to 24 different tree species were growing together, while in the control area, there were only 8 species. Not only plants, but the soil also became fertile and full of vitality. What was even more remarkable was that the orange peels not only helped the trees grow but also revived the forest ecosystem. Animals that rarely appeared in open areas, such as the tropical forest python, a species that needs a healthy, dense forest to survive, had also returned. These findings left the scientists extremely amazed and excited. They thoroughly recorded data from soil nutrient composition to the differences in vegetation between the two areas, to ensure that anyone could understand this miraculous change. What was happening in this forest was not merely a phenomenon, but also an impressive demonstration of nature's regenerative power. When these research results were published, the scientific community was inevitably surprised. An astonishing discovery: orange peels, seemingly just agricultural waste, could regenerate an entire vast forest. This information quickly spread, attracting the attention of many researchers worldwide. But was it really so? Could that forest have regrown on its own without orange peels? Some experts raised the question, without human intervention. Could nature have recovered like that on its own? The research team had a clear and convincing answer. They pointed to a barren plot right next to the experimental site. Both areas had the same initial conditions: climate, soil, rainfall, and environmental influences were identical. Yet after 16 years, the difference was undeniable. One side remained a barren, dry piece of land with little life. Meanwhile, the area once covered with orange peels had now become a lush green forest with dense tree growth. Birds returned to nest. A completely new ecosystem had formed. The orange peels helped the soil become more fertile, providing abundant nutrients for the trees to thrive. Typically, to restore a devastated forest, humans must spend a huge amount of money to buy seedlings, plant, and care for them over many years. Additionally, to ensure good tree growth, people often use fertilizers, some of which are very expensive and can harm the environment if used improperly. But with this method, the only thing humans need to do is transport orange peels to the area needing restoration. The rest, nature will handle on its own. Moreover, the F-Juice company saved a large sum by no longer needing to pay for waste disposal as before. A simple solution, yet yielding astonishing effectiveness. The success of this project opened up a completely new direction. If orange peels can help regenerate a forest, can we utilize other types of waste to protect the environment? Some scientists have begun researching ways to turn orange peels into biofuels, enabling vehicles to operate without causing pollution. Others are experimenting with producing bioplastic from orange peels, hoping to replace traditional plastic, which is causing serious environmental pollution globally. Not only scientists, but many food production companies are also starting to focus on effectively utilizing waste in more beneficial ways rather than simply discarding it. If done correctly, this not only helps protect the planet, but also allows businesses to save significant costs. Of course, this method cannot be applied effectively everywhere. Costa Rica has a hot and humid climate, ideal conditions for coconut trees to grow rapidly. However, in areas with colder climates, less fertile soil, or low rainfall, this process may occur more slowly and not achieve the expected results. Utilizing natural waste for forest regeneration or soil improvement should be guided by science, ensuring proper implementation to avoid unintended impacts. An effective method in one place may not necessarily be suitable elsewhere. This is something to consider. Nevertheless, despite certain limitations, the results of this experiment are still a dream come true for the two researchers. Initially, they simply sought a way to process orange peel waste, but ultimately discovered an excellent solution for forest regeneration. What no one expected was that creative thinking and a different approach helped them turn a problem. The surplus of orange waste into an opportunity to protect the environment. From thousands of discarded orange peels, a lush green forest has grown. Nature always has its own miraculous way of operating, as long as humans give it a chance. The story of the orange peel forest clearly demonstrates that sometimes solutions to big problems come from very simple things we often overlook. If we know how to utilize and cooperate with nature, humans can definitely find new ways to protect the planet. What do you think about this method? Could it be applied in other places around the world? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you for watching the video. Have a wonderful day and see you in future videos. Subscribe to the Guy and Migo channel so you don't miss exciting videos.